Good evening and welcome to Kingdom Embassy Budapest. Thank you for joining us. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good. You want to unmute yourself, all of you? So we are changing nations, changing lives still. And tonight we will be discussing something very interesting. And you probably all saw this beautiful photo that I have posted earlier. I think even almost a week ago I did. With the rabbit trying to compete, or rather the turtle trying to compete with the rabbit. And of course, the message is very clear. Everybody should be running their own race.
Mm-hmm.
And people, when one of the main mistakes people do is they fail because their focus is broken, because they don't look at the prize that is set in front of them, but we tend to look at who is where.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, who is next to me, and are they faster than me? Are they doing it better than me? And that's one thing to learn from other people. That's a good thing. We always should be aware of what's out there to improve ourselves constantly, because that's how we grow, individually and also in our skill sets, in our gifts, in our talents. But what we mustn't do is to allow that to derail us from our own tracks. And, we try to run somebody else's race, then who's going to run ours? Okay. So everybody was called to run their own race. I'm going to pull up my pointers here. Yeah. So we were all born different. None of us were born the same. So to expect yourself to be looking like the rabbit, or to look like the turtle or the lion, left, right, and so everybody is different. Okay. And that's because we were all created to our own path, our own mandate, if you will. And because we were created and designed especially to run our own race. To change someone's core personality is nearly impossible. Moreover, in my opinion, it's a sin, because we were given in a seed form certain gifts, certain talents that is going to help us fulfill our mandate. And it's up to us to discover those talents and those gifts in a seed form and develop them. So first you want to discover them, okay? And of course, then they can become a skill set, which God embellishes. He helps us. He brings us the right teachers, the right coaches, the right people into our lives to, if this is our desire. If you don't care, then you're going to do whatever you're going to do. But if your mind is really set on running your race, then you are going to be very mindful of where I am, what am I doing, am I in the right place, am I in the right time, am I doing the right thing? Because if all these three things don't align, then something is off. You will not feel well. You will feel something's out of place. Your things are not going smoothly. It's like having a wheel and the center is off. Not in the center, but like off. It's never going to be a smooth ride. But the Lord said that, or in fact, it's a promise. He said, my burden is light and my burden is easy. My yoke is light and my burden is easy. So if you feel something is not easy in a good way, it doesn't meant to be like easy ride, but we are meant to enjoy it. So our skill sets, our gifts and talents were deposited to help us in our race. So first we have to discover them, and second we have to develop them. So if you try to compete with the person next to you, either the person is doing something different than you do, or in a different time, and you kind of compare yourself. Where are you at a certain time, at a certain lifetime, like a certain age? Where are you? Maybe I shouldn't be on this path, or maybe I should be much further along, because look at my neighbors. Where are they compared to me? Maybe they have started earlier, maybe they have started later, but we are all running our race on our own speed. Okay, so it's a different race and in a different speed. So if you try to compete with the person next to you, on either side of you, you will fail, even if you do overtake them. because you took your eyes off of your own prize, of what was said before you. And that's what the Bible says we shouldn't be doing. And when our focus is broken, we tend to fail. One of the greatest sources of disappointments and depression is to look to the side and look at others where they are at. Like, let's say you're 40 or 50 or 60, and you still haven't really fulfilled those goals that you set out for yourself. But number one, were those goals from God? Second, what if you fulfill them? Was that what God wanted you to do, or was it your idea? So what you want to do, you always want to know where you're going, because otherwise you are always going to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should be somewhere else. Maybe I should be living in a different country. Maybe I should be living with a different person. Maybe I should be doing a different career, you know? And people are just running around in the world trying to find themselves. But what they really need to be finding is what they should be doing. And many times, most of the times, people don't do the right thing at the right time in the right place, and they have no idea what they're doing on this earth. And of course, that's a very big source of depression. And many times people don't even know what their problem is. They just don't feel happy. They just feel out of place. And that, I heard this many times. I just feel so out of place. I just feel like something is up, something is different, even from Christians, sadly. But the point is, have you even sat down with God to ask where he wants you to be at a certain time? And he would give you milestones very nicely and very clearly. Maybe only for you. Maybe nobody else has to know. But if he has given you those milestones, write them down. Because when you look back, it will be a great encouragement for you, and to know that you have not missed the mark. You have not missed that particular place, that particular time that you have to be. I can tell you so many stories about that in my life. And I'm so grateful that, you know, whether through dreams or even through pictures, something, you know, you've seen before, and then you suddenly see it like many years later. Oh, I've seen that before. I was here. I was in this and this and this place, on this and this and this meeting. And it spoke to me, and I recognized that, yes, that is a proof that God is with me and I'm in the right track. And that's a beautiful feeling, knowing that you are on the right place, right time, doing the right thing. So as I said, you know, one of the great sources of disappointment is when we look to either side and decide that, you know what, those people seem to be doing better than I do. Maybe we are on the same field, you know, in career or something. But number one, you are not a doctor or a lawyer or I don't know, whatever. You are God's child, and your number one mandate is on this earth is to win souls. Whatever career you chose, or it was chosen for you one way or another, God can use you everywhere. But the point is, you must never lose sight of the great picture. And the great picture is that you are there on this earth to win souls. Mm-hmm. So don't look left and right, and you know, just look directly in front of you. Don't look left and right, and don't compare yourself to others. Number one, you don't know whether they are really all what they are projecting. All you see is an image that they are projecting, and many times that image is misleading. Many times they are embellishing it. You don't see the big picture. You don't see the background. You don't see where they came from. You don't even know if they're supposed to be there. All you see is what they're projecting. And of course, social sites and social media helps us in that. Everybody, you know, posts different pictures of themselves, and it all seems to be happy, and you just feel like less than, you know, not a good thing. Number two, you don't know how much time they have on earth. And you don't know how much time you have on earth. So, and the reason why I want to dwell on this point a little bit, because you might see some people are roofing next to you, you know, setting up the roof of the house, but you're still digging the foundation. You don't know whether that person has maybe 2 more weeks left to live. Maybe that's why God sped things up for them. You don't know. Also, if you are called to build a very tall skyscraper, of course you have to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, because the taller the building, the more established it has to be under the ground. So that should not faze you either. Number 3, being successful in the wrong thing is also a failure. And I think many people miss that point. So I'm going to repeat again. If you feel like you're successful, but not in the right thing where you were called to, you're a failure, in fact, because God called you here but you decide to go somewhere here and your career is healing, but of course you know that you're not supposed to be there. So basically that's also a type of failure. Most people spend their lives climbing a ladder the fast they can, only to discover when they get to the top that at the end of that, which is at the end of their lives usually, that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. You see that picture? When you began to climb the ladder in the first few steps, oh, it looks wonderful. It looks so, you know, I'm going to get to the top. But number one, you don't get to the top very fast, because everything that is worth fighting for is a long ride. Most of the times you don't get to the top like that. And many times when you get to the top, and it's mostly for non-believers, of course, hopefully, then it's like, you know what, it was all for nothing, because I was working on my career away from my family. I was taking away time from, you know, my children, from my family, from my grandchildren, and all for what? You know? So they were climbing the wrong ladder. And everybody has to be focused on their own time. You are right on time. That's what you have to keep telling yourself. If you ever feel like you are, like some people have probably gone ahead of you and you think that perhaps you should be ahead of them, you're not competing with them. You're competing with yourself. So just some thoughts regarding this area. Some graduated from college at the age of 22, but waited for 5 years to get a job. So were they ahead or were they not? They are right where you are at 27, but they had to wait for 5 years to get a good job. Some became CEO at the age of 25 and died at the age of 50. And here you are at the age of 50 and you're doing wonderfully. So it's not because they reached a certain goal, they are ahead of you, because now, you know, you are in your 50s and you still have a long run ahead of you. And they sadly left the earth already. Someone became a CEO at the age of 50 and lived for 90 years. So, but when that person was, for instance, 25, they would look at the CEO who was also 25 right next to them. And they're like, you know what, maybe I should be. But what they didn't know that the person's life is going to end at the age of 50. And his career will be taking off at the age of 50. And he still has another 40 years to run. You see what I'm saying? So you want to see things in context. Someone is still unique while one of his classmates has already been a grandfather. Okay, I didn't write it right. Let's say someone is still single, but one of his classmates has already become a grandfather. It happens, you know. Obama retired at the age of 55. President Trump began at the age of 70. I mean, just think about that. Okay, so we have quite a few examples. Everyone in this world lives according to their own time zone. Some of the people around you may be ahead of you and some may be behind you. Everyone runs their own race in their own time. Don't envy them. They are in their own time zone and you are in yours. You are not late, you are not early. You are in the best time, your time. And we have a lot of other pointers, a lot of not so much statistics, but some encouragement. At the age of 23, Tina Fey was working at the YMCA. At the age of 23, Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first reporting job. At the age of 24, Stephen King was working as a janitor and living in a trailer. I didn't know that either. I'm glad I did that. At the age of 28, J.K. Rowling was suicidal, single parent, living on welfare. And look at her now. At the age of 28, Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips, whatever that is, was a fry cook. At the age of 30, Harrison Ford, the actor, was a carpenter. These are not bad jobs, but that's not where they are today, because obviously their calling was different. At the age of 30, Martha Stewart was a stockbroker. At the age of 37, Ang Lee was a stay-at-home dad working odd jobs. Julia Child, of course the cook, released her first cookbook at the age of 39. and got her own cooking show at the age of 51. Because when we think of these people, household names, we don't really think all the works and disappointments and the turn downs and the turn off and the suicidal, situations and all that, and the depression they had to go through. I think, what's the name? Very famous actor, Spanish. Oh, anyway, everybody knows him. Anyway, he was, I think, homeless for 2 years, living under a bridge, and now he's one of the most famous actor. Antonio Banderas, that's the name. Okay, Vera Wang failed to make the Olympic figure skating team. Didn't get the editor-in-chief position in Vogue, and designed her first dress at the age of 40. And now, of course, it's 70 something. She is absolutely a household name, and fabulous dresses she makes. So, but interesting, had she gotten that Vogue position or made the figure skating, she would have never gone into fashion, which was her real calling. Isn't that interesting? So sometimes the derail is from God. Or great musicians. I can't really think of many. Also Spanish. Julio Iglesias.
Yeah,
you probably know him because of the son. Enrique Iglesias also is a very, very famous. He's coming to Hungary, by the way. But anyway, Julio Iglesias wanted to be a professional soccer person. How you call them? Soccer player, right? Yeah. And because of an injury, he had to go to hospital. Could have been the Achilles, which is a very, very important muscle and takes a long time to recover, if ever. And he was in hospital, and they were trying to fix him. And while he was in hospital, but he couldn't move, because of course he couldn't move, he couldn't walk. He had to rest his leg, and he played the guitar while he was in the hospital. And the guy became a very famous, award-winning, like one of the probably the most well-known singer. And that was his real calling, indeed. Had he been a soccer player, probably retired at the age of 35 max. The guy is like close to 99 and still singing and fills up stadiums, and it's absolutely wonderful. And how many people he has touched this way. As a soccer player, I don't think he would have reached. I mean, he would have reached like a small segment, because all the people who are interested in soccer, they would have followed his career. And then, the guy is washed up, and then, off you go. Nobody ever hears of him again. But this way, he actually made he became a legend, basically. Stan Lee didn't release his first big comic book until he was 40. Alan Rickman, the actor, gave up his graphic design career to pursue acting at the age of 42. Isn't that interesting? World famous now. Of course, he died, unfortunately. Samuel Jackson didn't get his first movie part until he was 46. We didn't know that, did we? Morgan Freeman landed his first major movie role at the age of 52.
Wow.
When you look at all these, the big names and the numbers next to it, it's like, we didn't know that, did we? I didn't know that. I was really surprised when I was, going through the things. Catherine Bigelow only reached international success when she made the Hurt Locker at the age of, let's see, 57. Interesting, when we look at these things by today's standards, even though these people are still very relevant today, people would say, you know what, this is at such a late age. And compared to what? Yeah. Maybe the person was right on time. I mean, people who got these major roles at the 47 and 42 and 52 and whatever, they weren't ready for it when they were 25. A 25-year-old rarely can play a 50 plus or role. So obviously that role was waiting for them if they were on the right track. But had they would have, like Harrison Ford would have just continued on the path of being a carpenter. I'm sure he's a great guy, carpenter, but carpenter, you probably have more than one. But Harrison Ford, you know exactly that he's the actor. So if he hadn't changed career path, he would have never ran into that big role that he got, and that he made him world famous and blessed so many of us with his art. Grandma Moses didn't begin her painting career until she was 76. I don't know who the person is, but apparently that says something to the US people. 76. Now that's not exactly where you would change a career path, or that you would reach your the height of your career. And yet this is where she started. So whatever your dream is, it is not too late to achieve it. You aren't a failure because you haven't found fame and fortune by the age of 21. In fact, I must say that people who come from money, or people who got a lot of money and got to the top of their game at the age of 20 something or even earlier, they mostly washed up by the age of 40, or even before 30 probably. So there is something to be said about you getting your maturity first, your inner maturity, your spiritual maturity above all. And that sometimes is not connected with age. So it's okay if you don't even know what your dream is yet. But of course, you want to find out. Even if you are flipping burgers or waiting on tables or answering telephones today, you never know where you'll end up tomorrow. So never tell yourself that you are too old to make it. Never tell yourself you have missed your chance. Never tell yourself that you are not good enough. You can do it. Whatever it is that you set your mind to, you can do it. And above all, you want to focus on your timing, which is God's timing for you. That's what I want to emphasize. God's timing for you is the best timing. And that's what you want to focus on, because the moment you allow yourself to shift your focus somewhere else or someone else other than Jesus, your focus is broken and you are going to slow down. Most of the times you are going to stop and you will get discouraged. You don't measure yourself against other people. You are here to be the best you that you can be. And God gives you all the help in the world and in heaven to fulfill your mandate. And when you're running your race, you know that everybody's cheering you on. The cloud of witnesses are real. They are looking down from heaven and they are cheering you on physically. Even if you don't see them, they are cheering you on because they are on your side. And they are really, really rooting for you to make it on the best path that God has for you. And also, you don't want to be someone else, because while you are someone else, who's going to be you? All the people that you supposed to touch, nobody else can touch. All the people that God gave you the key to. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are waiting for you, for your word, for your smile, for your encouragement, because you have the key to their hearts. You have the key to their destiny. You are the one who can unlock them one way or another. And just want to you want to ask God, who are those people who are waiting for me? Do I need to, I don't know, join a different gym? Do I need to join a different church? Do I need to, where do I reach those people that I'm called to reach? And that's because that's, of course, your main focus should be to win souls. And if when you win them, you want to train them. We don't do like half job. We want to be sure that those people that we get them to Christ, they don't become babies. They don't stay babies. They are maturing. So that's what I wanted to share today. And the floor is open. Anybody has any questions, comments?
I did want to mention Kenneth Hagin. While reading one of his books, he said he had become a pastor, and over some years he became senior pastor and so on. And then he says, okay, God, what would you like me to do now that I've done this and I've accomplished this? He says, how about we focus on what I've called you to do? He said, that's not what you called me to do. He says, no, I want you to be, he wanted him to start a university and all this kind of stuff. And he says, well, why didn't you stop me with that? He says, well, you were faithful with what you were doing, but now that you're asking me, let's do what you've been called to do. So I thought that was very interesting. We can be faithful. It's not that us doing the wrong thing. It is definitely a failure in that we're not doing and focusing on what we're supposed to be doing, right? And it really does depend on what that is for certain. But also, sometimes one thing can easily be led into another. And it is very important from the start to ask that question, God, what do you want me to do? What should I be focusing my attention on and building towards? Because that will lead to the destinies of so many others, right?
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you mentioned that. Yes, your destiny is connected to the destiny of others.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's a great responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Apostle Ada. She was in Rhode Island on Power School. And then she told a story about many people were invited to make a program. So they have to come to person to explain what their plans are. But Ada questioned that man, what do you want? And then the man told her, you are the first person who asked me, what do you want? And so what you say about Kenneth Hagin, yeah, Mark, we can do all the good things, but we have to ask, are we on the good track?
Yeah.
I like the picture from Reka with two turtles, one very fast and one very slow. But it's very good to ask the Lord. Sometimes in our life, you think, am I on track? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it seems like you can do the right thing or seemingly, or the good thing, but it's not the God thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because who would question someone who is a pastor, whether the person is on the right track? Of course, if you're a pastor, you must be doing the right thing. But apparently, it wasn't the case for Kenneth Hagin, and we're so glad that he stopped and obeyed.
Yeah, and always be obedience to the Father. Don't calculate many things. I like to calculate, but sometimes I have to leave it, because if I calculate, then it don't work out. But sometimes when I go to the Power School the first time, 2018, Apostle Charles asked me 2017 during the daily boost, Alexander, you have to come. And I was shocked and surprised, because I was like, yeah, but my bank account don't allow me to go, you know. But then I decided to obey, to go. So it was the most, all Power Schools are tremendous, but the first Power School was so special. There were three persons, one from Washington, one from the Netherlands, and one from London. Three. So we had a very beautiful Power School, and Apostle Charles was teaching. If there was a crowd, it was really impressed me, and all the things worked out for good. So that's my chance always again to see what's the calling and how can we break it down in pieces so that we can get to that calling. And I don't say I'm too old. I never say that. Never.
Yeah.
Because in our surrounding in the Netherlands, when you're 65, 67, then you have to be with retiring. And then all people around you think, do you bicycling or walking or some nice other things. And then they're surprised that we are doing also other stuff, counseling, preaching, traveling. It's so necessary. I told one of my kids, I like walking, I like bicycling, but I will, to the end, cooperate with my God. I will to the end. No retiring in the kingdom of God.
That's right. You don't retire from purpose.
No.
You refire, isn't it?
Yes,
Right.
Hello,
exactly.
Pastor baby. Thank you for joining, guys. Hello, baby.
Hello.
So sweet.
So happy to see everyone.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
too. What a
Good
beautiful
to see
surprise.
you.
I was
So
just
yeah, my father is a professor, but all his life, and he's doing a lot of things. He's a very well-known expert in his field. He's a botanician, and in fact, I'm going to put some pictures up later on when I have time. On my new account now, we visited the botanical garden that's where we grew up and where he worked. It's one of the most famous in Hungary, if not in whole Europe. And he was the director of that garden, as well as everything else. But at the same time, I'm not going to say he was running a church, but he was pastoring a church. And he was writing books and counseling people. I mean, he was and traveling. So he was absolute. I mean, we rarely ever saw him when he was little. So the point is that he's in his 70s now, and he retired. They would call him back to teach, but basically he retired, I think, maybe like 10-15 years ago, I think 10, yeah. So he goes, oh good, so now I can finally start doing what's really important. I never forget that. Meaning that only now he can focus on the work of the Lord. And now he's even more busy because now he doesn't have the other commitments. He can still write his books, the expert books on whatever. It will be too long to explain what those things are, but he actually was one of the founding professors of, I don't know if I'm even proud of that to say, but George Soros's university. But I actually know Soros as well, and he did too. A nice person, really. We didn't know the guy's a jerk, but anyway, so. Anyway, so he was one of the main professors there, and from the very beginning for like 20 plus years. So he did a lot of things. But at the same time, his heart was always in the ministry. But he also had this other talent and skills and gifts which he couldn't ignore. And I think it's quite possible that to stand with one foot in the world, so to speak, and with other foot in the Christian world, because otherwise you have to have some kind of bridge. You have to have some crossover. Everybody knew that he was Christian. He never was quiet about it, even during communism that we had, which was most of his lifetime. You have to remember that. But he wouldn't try to push himself on others, to evangelize, because at the time it was not even legal. You could get jailed for that. But it was whenever a stance needed to be taken, he took that stand and he said, I'm not going to do this because my faith, doesn't allow me. So he lived through his whole life, regardless of what regime was, at the time relevant. He was always a Christian, but his time was very much tied up with the university, with the garden and things like that, and the experiment that he was doing with certain things regarding his job. So it didn't give him enough time to do what his heart was really at. But now he does. So it's like, yeah, finally I have time to do, because that's why my question would have been the same for him as well. So now you're going to rest. He goes, no, now I finally have time to do what is really important. So I never forgotten that, and he still is going on strong. So I can very much relate to what you're saying, man of God, because of course, you know where your heart is at, and Bible says that as long as you have purpose, you will have time.
Amen.
So, Pastor David, what do you think?
I'm just so enjoying this broadcast, the program. Thank you so much. Thank you for the words.
Yeah.
I'm in my living room here. I have both my girls here.
Oh, wonderful.
And
wow.
So Mama's at work, so I'm here today. But
take care.
Hi.
Hi.
You're so
She's waving.
Oh, so sweet.
But I was just.
We went to Orlando too.
Oh,
And
we went to Orlando.
Orlando.
Swimming pool
To
too.
The
Disneyland?
swimming pool.
Oh, okay.
He was in the swimming pool. Yeah, so I was in my living room watching on Empower Media Network. Actually, you're streaming
praise
right there
God,
also,
okay.
and I was enjoying it. And I just so loved what you said, Princess Reiki, and what you said, Mark, and then Alexander. What I heard, and I said, "Oh, let me jump on and
Please do.
just see you guys. Say hello."
There's
and say-
nothing like joining the community. It's one thing to watch,
Yeah.
but then when you are part of it, it's different.
Amen.
Mhm,
And I actually have time today, so I'm so glad. And if I can add something,
Please
it's,
do. Absolutely.
I think it's my favorite verse in the Bible. It's in Ephesians 5. I think it's Ephesians 5:1. And to me, it's how to know that we're on time and that we're in our purpose, smack dab in the middle of our purpose. It says, follow the way of love. Actually, that's 1 Corinthians.
Love it.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians, after the gifts thing, it says, follow the way I love and eagerly desire the gifts. But Ephesians 5:1 says, be imitators of God as dearly beloved children and walk in love. And so as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us. So what I've found is, my mind can't figure this stuff out, this timeless, this purpose stuff. But if I'm really in love, if I'm in love with everybody around me, I'm right in the middle of my purpose. If I'm walking in love, I'm there. And if I'm actually somehow not there, he's going to move me there quickly because I'm in love. I'm lined up with him.
That's wonderful.
My girls are moving.
That's very beautiful.
Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
What about you, Ning? Any thoughts?
I
You don't have any thoughts? No way. You always have a lot of thoughts. We can't hear you.
You are unmuted, but we actually cannot hear you right now, Ning.
We can't hear you.
No,
Yeah.
still not.
Yeah.
You can hear us, but we can't hear you. Oh,
Yeah.
how is that possible?
Yeah.
You'll probably have to restart, exit, and
Yeah,
come
maybe
back
you
in
want to
again.
boot out and then
Yeah,
come back again,
yeah,
join again.
Yeah. Sorry, Ning.
What about you, Anne?
Yeah.
Yeah, as always, Ms. Reka, your topics are always on time. I was actually like today, is it? Yeah, it's just I was just thinking about myself actually about what I have to do next.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then like even when you were speaking, I was just trying to tell myself, okay, like what's next for me, and yeah, so your topic is really came at the right time. And I like what you said about always focus on God's timing and focus on the mission.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Hear me? I think it's
Yeah, it was kind of like muffled.
now. Is it clearer?
Much better. Yes, much better, much clearer.
Yes, I was just saying, like I like what you said. Like you said, always focus on God's time. Yeah, because God's time is always right, and in the process, like you're always on a training period as well. And then yeah, and what I liked what you said was what was it? Yeah, some people might be successful in the wrong area, which is really, really sad. But some don't even realize that they're actually in the wrong field. There's one thing as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Thank you.
Yes.
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 I'm back. I'm so overwhelmed because for me, like, run your own race is so important because especially I'm a late bloomer, right? It's just, it makes all the sense because it's important not to compare yourself with other people. When you compare yourself with other people, you limit yourself to other people's achievements, right? And
yeah,
I think there's so many amazing innovators in the world. If they look at Elon Musk instead of themselves, they never know. Maybe they can achieve more than Elon Musk. So it's really important not to compare, because when you compare, you have not confidence in God, what God has prepared for you. He's able to give you the glory, the same amount that he gave to others, maybe even better, because you're listening to him. Others are trying, probably intuitive, because I don't want to say, because even like in Romans, right? Paul said, the one, basically, I'm just going to paraphrase. Basically, he said the ones who do nature things according to the law, even though they are not given the law, they're justified. So some people sometimes, because, regardless how we're brought up, but we're made in God's image, the goodness of God is still in us at work, even maybe they have not been saved. It doesn't matter. Their intuitive sense tells them not to kill, not to do this, not to do that, or to be productive, So what I'm trying to say is, follow that. But for us, we have an advantage because I have knowledge of God, like more accurate. Some people follow their intuitive, just intuitive sense, right? Because if you look at around the world, like, the Jews are given the law, right? The 10 Commandments, and then the Christians have it. But the people who are not in those faith, they still do those things. So my point is, it's because they have an inaccurate but yet intuitive goodness of God working in them. So, but now we have the accurate knowledge. We're just have so much better advantage. So don't compare other people's achievement, especially those examples you were putting out. I think there's Warren Buffett, right? He started his investment business when he was 50, or way over 50.
So, yeah.
And become the richest person. At least for a while, he was the richest person in the world. It's just because sometimes you really need that time to mature. Because for myself, like, I felt like I was mature at all when I was 40, like so much need to figure out. Maturity is important, but like even you look at Genesis, right? Like literally all these people before Noah, they all had their first children when they're 100, 300 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, don't take societal standard as your standard, because you're limiting yourself. You're missing your own purpose, your own uniqueness. Like, for example, today I was watching a video on Facebook. This is a little bit like, I see a lot of revelation from animals, but anyway, I forwarded to Princess Reka. So there's this cat. He has this a big rat as his pet. Like, he literally protecting the rat from his dog. The dog in the house, the dog wanted to attack the rat. I'm just saying, like, the norm is that the cats eat the rats, or they're enemies. But so we are taught certain norms that might not be true, because God's uniqueness in every individual of us is different. Open your eyes, open to what your heart tells you, not what the world tells you. So yeah, I'm just overwhelmed by this topic, because it's so big, because when you understand it, you're unleashing your potential, your purpose, your time frame. Like you said, you don't need to retire, you don't need to die if you still have a purpose. So I'm prepared to live 200 years old, 300 years old, like the people before Noah, right? If you still have purpose, just live on. So don't limit yourself.
Absolutely. And also we mustn't lose sight that on purpose society, or rather, certain people, certain groups of people, likes to put this pressure on us, on everybody, that you need to do things fast, isn't it? You have to
Right.
become at certain age, you have to achieve this. Says who? Honestly, if you think about it, when did this became the center of the universe, where you have to, you know, do your degrees, have your children, or rather don't have children nowadays, this is the narrative, you know, do these things, have the best job, drive this kind of car, have this kind of mansion, and then of course you retire, and then, you know, be quick. Why?
Yeah.
It's like you're running through life without even stopping to smell the roses. They try to like rush you through things, rush through relationships, rush through schools. If you can do the school, the 4-year school in 2 years, do that. I don't think it's necessarily good, you know, for everyone. Maybe for you it's okay, maybe for the next person, but for you, I'm all for homeschooling, especially these days. But there is something to be said about people who are homeschooled, and as opposed to those who are schooled in you know, because they get used to the interaction with, you know, interacting with their little friends. They get used to working at, you know, certain tensions between themselves. All these things are training, not just while they are sitting on class. So maybe you shouldn't be taking your child out, you know, unless it is for another reason, of those, you know, of that kind of mini society. But let them work out their little problems, let them have friends, let them learn how to converse with people, let them learn how to, you know, express themselves. You know, while they're at home, they don't have that kind of environment because everyone they know is around them. You know, it's just something, you know, on the side. But I mean, you shouldn't be rushing to unless God tells you to. But there is a certain pace. And of course, you know, this world has become increasingly, even the last 10, 15 years, faster, instant gratification. You press the button, it has to be there. If it's not there, you have to report it. You know, if they, you know, if the, I don't know, the train doesn't come on time, or you don't get your fast food on time, you have to report them. They have to give your money back. How nice. Well, maybe not. You know, I'm not saying I would like to go back 15, 20 years earlier, but there is something to be said about people taking their time to listen to each other. Not bad at all. Because nowadays it's like, hi, how are you? Everyone's fine, sure. Okay, bye. You know, so let's not lose sight of the fact that this is an intentional situation. They try to speed up, grow up faster, do things faster, and die faster.
Think, I feel like it's actually trapped because it's teaching you that we're living in a world that's lack. The perfect knowledge of God is God prepared for us abundantly everything. There's no lack. There's no lack of time. Absolutely. There's no lack of your complete glory. You can just be as, you know, as brilliant as the person you admire. But because the world is, like you said, rushing and teaching us the message of lack, because they're stripping the actual truth, godly truth. It's just laid in front of our eyes. Then we are living in a world that's not fulfilled. So it's really important to run your own race, your full race, to be fulfilled. Otherwise, you will not feel fulfilled because you're keeping running other people's misunderstanding. Right? They have misunderstanding of the world, of literally this world is, we're living not in one with that truth. We're avoiding the truth. We're living, I'm not sure. I mean, we're just living in a it's like a bonsai, right? You're not living your full potential as a big tree because you're being bent in this way, that way, by artificial standard, artificial knowledge. That's just like 10% of the actual truth, maybe even less. So open your heart. Don't be afraid. Just live your life, your purpose.
I think it can be kind of summed up in one sentence, that we are not on the schedule of this world. We are on the schedule of heaven. We are on the time of heaven. And just as you said, Ning, there is no shortage of time in heaven. There's no shortage of anything. And God has given your mandate and enough time for you to fulfill it, to get prepared for it and to fulfill it. And that's your thing, that's your race. And that doesn't depend on society's pressure, on peer pressure, on anything that you even thought of yourself that you should be pressured by. And also, I was reminded while you were talking that how this world has just been increasingly lacking of peace. And of course, when you are being rushed, you never have the time to rest, to relax, just to be. You always have to do something, isn't it? You're bombarded with informations left, right, and center. Obviously, most of them are not even important. If that were not enough, then of course your friends are keep calling you or texting you, or we have all kinds of different platforms now that they can just barge into your lives. I have no problem with messaging. I'm just saying that if I would feel like I'm being dragged by these things, which I'm sure many people do, I would just shut them off, because my peace, my inner peace, and my sanity is worth more to me than being just dragged into all kinds of things with many directions, because then of course my focus is broken. So whenever I write or I work, I don't take calls, I don't, because I will have to be present. I have to be present in what I'm doing. And that's exactly what the world is trying to do through many different ways. They're trying to get your attention, so you would never be present. You would never be where you are. So make up your mind that you are always there where you are. And that's a profound statement. Someone made this statement, a wonderful minister. He says, wherever, I made up my mind, and it took me time to think it through and to understand. He said, I made up my mind to be wherever I am. So wherever I am, this is where I am. And it took me a while, because it almost like he sounded redundant, but no, I understand it perfectly. He said, my mind is not somewhere else, but I'm sitting and listening to a teaching or a person. And I'm thinking how many times my mind would be wandering off while I'm sitting and listening to a teacher. But now I'm purposely focusing myself, because there's a fight for our attention. There's a big fight for our focus. Because whatever we set our mind to do, we can do it. But if our mind is scattered, and of course, you will achieve nothing, because you're spreading yourself too thin. And it ties back to the time factor that we just touched on, that's exactly it. Satan's trying everything he can, because his time is short. Our time is not short. His time is short. So he's trying to push it on us. His fears, his tension. He's projecting. He's trying to put his sickness on you, his tension, his pressure, his stress. That's not yours. Don't take it.
That's right.
Don't take it. Push it back. You are, God, that's what the Bible says, I think in Psalm 23. He leads us to still waters. And there's something about, those sheep. The sheep don't drink from a muddy water. They only drink from water that is still.
Still water.
Still. So they have to wait until it's still water, or they have to go to another one that's still. They don't go to muddy water. They are backing off, because they don't like that. And we are likened to sheep for a reason, for many reasons actually, but I think it has to do with the brain as well.
Wow.
But point is that God speaks to us in a still voice. Most of the times he doesn't shout, but for that you need to calm yourself down. You need to sit down. You need to empty yourself of all these bombarding informations, and your mind is wandering somewhere else. I have to be somewhere else. I have to give the call back. I have to, call this person back or get back to that person. And it's just, it all really just fights for attention. And at the end, it's like, what did I even accomplish today? Because I was everywhere, but at the same time, it's like a rocking chair, lots of movement, no progress. So let's not be like that.
That's right.
There's another factor, like, we need to act in love, right? When you compare yourself to others, it's a distraction for the other person as well. I remember, I'm not gonna name names, some people keep comparing themselves with me. I'm like, I'm still figuring out, but there's a lot of pressure for me, because I have to take care of their feelings. But the thing is that you are just as brilliant. The thing is to be happy for other people's achievements, and then
Yeah.
focus on your own, because
Mhm.
we think that, you know, I think the world trying to tell us the turtle is lesser than the rabbit. It's not true, right? They're just unique. The turtle might be slower than the rabbit, but the turtle is steadfast and patient, and he still win the race.
And the turtle lives much longer.
Yeah, live much longer.
100
Much
years and
longer,
longer.
150 years
100 years
compared to, I don't know,
longer.
like 2-3 years, the rabbit. So,
That's right. That's right.
so distance-wise, the turtle will probably go, you know, a longer distance
In the
the
long
fact that
run,
he lives
yeah.
for like 150 years, or some of them even 250 years.
Yeah.
It's also encouraging about your teaching, Princess Reka, about the ages of people. One was 25 and was rich, and the other was 42 and make something new. So there were all a stage of people, and it's nice to hear that, because I know you have to compare yourself with another, but sometimes very sneaky it comes in, you know, and then you have to keep it out. Because you see I see very famous people. Apostle Charles is one of me, and here you all are my famous people too, and it's very sneaky that it's come in, but you have to know what you have to do. What is your specialty? What's your not everybody can painting as a Van Gogh or a Rembrandt or a Vermeer, you know. There are styles, so and characters too. So it's very nice and encouraging to say that in this lesson, Princess Reka.
Isn't that interesting? When we look at these names, you would even think that these people have started so late, quote unquote, because all you hear is, all my life I heard Oprah.
Right.
It never occurred to me that she didn't start until she was like, I don't know, like 50 or something, or Martha Stewart or the others, because it seems like we have always known these names to be great. But then you look at them, it's like, no, some of them like 50 or even 70, nobody even heard of them apart from their own small surrounding. But now it seems like they've been around forever, but they haven't. When you look at that, no, they haven't. And it's kind of encouraging and also very sobering to look at that, because it's not the length of a time or a career, but the depth of it. You know, maybe all your life you've been prepared. God is preparing you to give one word or one message, but that one message will reach more people than all the other messages you could have done. Like take Keith Green, of course, a singer, a great minister, but I think he would prefer to be a minister rather than singer, but we mostly know his songs, of course. He went to heaven at the age of 26 or so, 27. But yet, even many, many years later, decades later, we still are impacted by his ministry. Of course, the guy should have stayed longer. I mean, there was no reason for him to be, going into that plane accident. So obviously, there's something to be said that because he was actually warned not to do the piloting, and then he did it anyway, and then he brought more people onto the plane, as far as I know, than he was supposed to. So it wasn't without warnings that accident happened, or accident. But anyway, so he could have done more, which is what I'm saying. But yet, in his short time when he got saved, I think maybe like 10 years or less than 10 years, he was ministering, and yet decades later, he's still impacting people. And I like to read the comments that people, I'm following the ministry, of course, and he has blessed so many people, so many lives, and then those people have touched others. So it's like almost like a pyramid sort of thing.
Right.
Because you never know how many people was really, really reached by him, just by doing those short years. But that short years was so impactful and so deep and so just absolutely anointed, that even today you see the impact, you feel the impact. And many people comment like, I was on his service, I got saved when he was singing, then I went home and I preached to my family and they too got saved, and now my grandkids are also a fan of his, although they have never met him because of course he left the earth earlier, but the impact still goes on.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to have like a long ministry time in order to be impactful.
Yeah.
And you don't know your time. That's also very correct, because in my neighborhood, a pastor of 53 years was certainly passed away. So many people were very surprised. But I hear his last preach, and all was about trust the Lord, trust the Lord, trust the Lord,
Praise
trust
God.
the Lord. It was, yeah, very special. So he is passed away and 53, but he was always cooperate with the Lord. So yeah, yeah.
Praise God. And
Yeah.
also the legacy you leave behind as a person, that's also very impactful. And that's also very,
right.
very important. You as a person, not just your ministry. We had few days ago, I think Friday, a celebrity passed away. He was 41, very healthy, well, looked healthy anyway. Suddenly his heart stopped. Well, I think there's a lot of things there, but the point is no one ever thought. I mean, just suddenly he had great plans. He had 2 little kids and, wife here and there. But, and I'm not saying the whole country is in shock, but in a way it is in shock because the guy was very young. He had plans. He wasn't saved as far as, but I think that's kind of very sobering. And it kind of makes people stop to think that maybe I need to change my life. Maybe I need to turn my life around because I don't know how long I have left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the legacy, the legacy this guy left is horrible, I must say. So that made me stop and think that people who knew him, it seems like he was a different person than he was on, in the magazines and things like that. I don't watch television, so I wouldn't know. But he apparently had like a reality show as well he was doing, and people were just not very happy with him. So the legacy he left was not good. And I'm thinking 41 years he lived and he didn't do anything seemingly that was good and positive. He didn't leave a good imprint here. And how sad and how tragic and what a waste. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And, if
Go
I
ahead,
could
Pastor.
make a quick
Absolutely,
Yes.
please do.
all right, yeah. So my wife, you all know Sonia, and she had her grandmother. Excuse me a second here. So sorry about that. Okay, really quickly. Yeah, let me just mention to your point, Princess Rekha and everyone, that how important time is here. And my wife's grandmother, actually, we found out after I met her that she had been influenced by early missionaries to China. I say early, it's like 1920s. So it's in the modern age, but because there were ancient missionaries who went to China after Jesus rose. But they went there to Fujian province where she's from, and they influenced her a lot. But then eventually she kind of went her own way, or the way of the world, kind of whatever. She went into various ideas, philosophies, religion ideas, and she really didn't care anything about God. And then I come along and I look very strange to them. Big, tall foreigner guy, there's not a whole lot of foreigners in certain parts of China, right, Nick? So at any rate, she's curious about me, but she finds out that I'm different, and she finds out her granddaughter is also very different now than what she knew before. But right before she went to be with the Lord, she met the Lord after all these years. So what looked like it could have been in a way a wasted life, but it really wasn't, because she had everybody knew her, people mourned her, people loved her. She did her thing, but then also there was an exit for her, an escape from any of the negatives she'd ever done in her whole life. They were wiped out and taken away just a few days before she went to be with the Lord. She was also healed before being with the Lord. So we thought she'd be fine. And then she left. And we know why. She met the Lord. She wanted to go.
She wanted to go.
87 years old at the time.
Amen.
Wow.
And
Hallelujah.
So beautiful.
yeah, and my wife's grandfather also, he on the other side, he lived till he was about 102. And he actually was a Chinese medicine doctor. he lived a life as a bit of a scholar, really. He was a scholar. He went to Beida. He went to
Nice.
Beijing Dashi. When it was
intellectual.
right, he was an intellectual, and so he had some history there. He later got into Chinese medicine work, and then at around age 70 something, he moved to the United States and kind of started a new life. And he lived in the United States in Los Angeles. Yeah, he was not afraid to do something new, and he lived here on the West Coast for 18 years.
Wow.
And when I met him, he seemed so young. It was his inner being, and it's because he really was young. This idea of we have these brackets of age, they're just deceptions. And
Yeah.
so by then he was in his late 80s or so, maybe 80, 90 when I met him, and he just seemed like he was 65, and he's just excited about life, happy about people, doing his thing. He still had not met the Lord, but he came to the Lord again. He came to the Lord at the end of his life. Probably his life was extended a little more because of that, because he got healed again, but he was around 98 or so when he came to know the Lord. And he told us, he just, he had resisted Jesus and the idea of Jesus based on some ideas that he had from his upbringing, his Chinese upbringing. He thought
It's really hard. It's really hard for Chinese to believe, to even entertain the concept of
he was
Jesus.
having a very hard time because of what he's been told, that Jesus is a foreigner, therefore he's not for Chinese, which is a total lie.
Wow.
In actual fact, Jesus, the skin of Jesus, he landed right in the middle of the earth. If you look at the earth as a globe, Israel's right in the middle because he's for everyone. And it's God in him. And God is offering salvation to everyone.
Amen.
So I say all that. I've got to actually take my youngest to give her.
So he wasn't white with blue eyes, are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Not like on the paintings. Oh, I'm small.
Right. And he's meant to influence everyone, all the eye shades, all the everything.
Yes, exactly.
So
everyone, absolutely.
He's the exact representation of the Father, and that is love. So
that's right.
Forever and he's for you. And if you're at the end of your life, you feel like I'm running out of time, or in the middle of your life and you're afraid about death, or you're thinking about time, that's because it is serious. But somebody came and died, broke death, rose again. He's outside of time and he will save you. Just reach your hand up toward him and say, Jesus, okay, I want this, and make him your Lord and he will save you. That's what happened with my wife's two grandparents. So just wanted to share real quickly before.
Oh my God, that's so encouraging. Yeah, so encouraging. Pray for my parents too.
Yeah, and we'll strategize on how to reach him, because
I talked to my dad about life and death, but he's been quiet, so I don't know, because it's shut down.
And the beauty of it too, Ning, is that the fact that you're inside of his sphere, God's got a beautiful plan for reaching him, and he will. He's gonna reach him.
Amen. I receive it.
Keep the bridge there, and it's natural. So okay, I love you all. I'm gonna
love you.
Beautiful story. Thank you, Pastor David. Beautiful.
Bye-bye.
So yes, we are the Josephs of our families. So we have keys to them to reach them. If they are Christian, but they are religious, then that's why. If they are non-believers, then of course that's why. But either way, if we are placed there strategically, wherever we are, to reach them one way or another.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it, but I believe in God's word. I believe in His word knows better than I do. I don't get discouraged. It's really hard because I talked to a friend of mine about because his parents. She sent me a picture of her parents. They all look kind of little having dementia. But they were brilliant people. Like they were good in sports. Everything. I loved them when I was in China, but now the photo shows that they're just kind of having dementia. The mind is not there. So I gave her the verse about, Jesus has taken all the sickness away. She literally stopped talking to me. That's not good. I have to continue to reach out to her because it's so indoctrinated for the Chinese that, Buddhism is their savior, their future, that where they belong in the future after they die. It's a very hard mindset to change, but there's nothing too hard for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Princess Rika, I just posted a verse from 2 Peter 1 to just talk about you were just talking about, like so Paul said, and besides whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, and by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust, right? And then he said, besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, to virtue knowledge, to knowledge temperance, to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. If these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful.
That's right.
In the knowledge. So that you're talking about the legacy, right? If you don't have these, you're not guaranteed fruitful, or so it's unfortunate this person unfortunately run short on his life, but if we follow the principle God gave us, we'll have a very fruitful and abundant life.
Absolutely. And the Bible not only talks about being fruitful, but that our fruits remain, and that talks about legacy.
Right.
Because our fruits not only should be
not
now, but they should be for generations and generations. Our footprints are, of course, oil with the anointings, and it never runs out, and it doesn't phase out with time. It doesn't lose its power with time. So our footprints, as if you would think about the footprints on the sand, they should be living here, and people, when they look at it, they know that anointing woman of man of God has walked here and has left a legacy behind that is still impacting us today. So that's what fruit remains means.
Yeah. Yes.
And all the influence, all the people you have influenced, and all the people who you have impacted, you will only find out, I think, fully when we get to heaven, because there's so many, probably, especially with the internet, all these people who have listened to all these teachings and encouragement. Maybe it's just one or two words or two sentences, but it impacted them and it spoke to them, because they were thinking about something along the line, well, maybe I shouldn't be here, maybe I don't have a reason, maybe I don't have a purpose, maybe I ran out of time. Some people have seem to have gone ahead of me, and I feel like I'm left behind. But if you're out there and you feel this way, you don't have to feel this way, because you are running your own race, of course, and you are right on time, your own time. And that's what you have to focus on, not on other people. As we have discussed, of course, we don't know where those people really are. We just see the image they project that may or may not even be true. Most of the times it's not even true. And you don't know the support system they have. You may not have support system. Some people became who they are because they were supported by their parents and by their family. Some people had no family at all, and they still made it. So really, there is no excuse, and there's no comparison. We can compare ourselves to so many people who have, came from seem to be nothing, and now they are out there, and people just know about them, and they impacting lives, whatever field they are in, maybe musicians or maybe ministers. But the thing is that if you look at their childhood, most of the times they were supported by their parents. Most of the times were trained by their parents. And some of us became who we are today in spite of all the no support from our families, no support from our parents. In fact, attacks. But we became more resilient because of it. So God is using every opportunity and every obstacle to make us sharper, bigger, better, faster, more, and just laser sharp. And one thing about support system, if you grew up with it, you will probably need it for the rest of your life, because that's what you're used to. If you grew up without support system, then you are very self-reliant. I think you're very lucky. And if you grew up with opposition, then you are even more resilient. Because you're used to the opposition, and now you are zealing, because whenever people oppose you and you are believing whatever you're believing, and it's not right for them to try to drag you away from your focus, then you are even more happy because you feel home. Okay, opposition, I'm so used to it. I did it all my life. I grew up this way. Is either way, run your own race in your own time. Don't get discouraged. Just ask the Lord whether you are where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. And as long as you have purpose, you will have time. So there's no reason to be discouraged. And don't get depressed. You are not late. You are not too early. You are right on schedule, on God's schedule, what he set out for you to do. And, you know, encourage everybody left, right, and center, but really focus on yourself. Because when you are doing your job, your mandate, your race, you will be useful for everybody else as well, because we are all touching lives with our race. You know, people that we pass by, people that are coming to our lives for a season, some of them are leaving, no problem. You touch them anyway. You impacted their lives, and they may be going out and doing seemingly greater things than you do, but you have contributed to whatever they're doing over there. Because you raised them, or you spoke the right words to them, or you spoke a word of prophecy to them, maybe, okay, or a word of encouragement. All these things are building blocks. Words make us, words break us. But if we use our words wisely, if we use our words to build others up, we ourselves are being built up as well. So let's not lose sight of the people that we have touched. Maybe some of the people out there don't have to be so, you know, on stage or glamorous career, but they are the ones contributing to those who are on stage,
right?
You know, so that's the other aspect of it. And for God, equally important, whether you have spoken some words of prophecy or some words of encouragement, and just words of love, or just, you know, just encouragement to someone. And that person took that word, stood on that word. Maybe that was the only encouragement word they have ever heard in their lives. And they took it and they used it as building blocks. If that person believes in me, I believe in myself, and I'm going to set out to do whatever I wanted to do. And then they are going out there, touching lives, all the light is on them. And you think they got there on their own. Nobody got there on their own. That's what we need to understand. Nobody gets there on their own. Everybody is being helped one way or another. And you, in some ways, have contributed to it.
Yeah. And also people who put their full effort to run their own race, right, put into the real hard work, they tend not to compare themselves with others. Those ones who look at the accomplishment did not look at what's the hard work behind it, trying to get there fast. They're comparing, which is, again, no achievement comes easy. You got to put in the hard work.
Yeah.
Have to. Yeah. And then there's a lot of sense of accomplishment when you really put into the hard work. It's just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say to Alexander, actually, how I really appreciate what you said, where you said that where you live, you know, you're 65, you're 67, it's time to retire. And society would try to say to you, well, now that you've spent the best years of your life, what are you going to do now while you dwindle down? And instead, what you've said is, now that I'm in the prime of my life, I am going to do better and do more than I ever have. And what is that going to be? And you've changed that focus. And so that's so often what society tries to do, right? They try to put us in a box. They try to define us. And when we ask God for his definition, it's completely changed. I keep looking at the tree behind Ning and her background there, you know, how diverse everything is, and the sky behind it, and so on. And you know, when we try to compare ourselves, it's like taking a branch off that tree and saying, you know, here it is, here's this branch, I'm going to compare this branch is so much better. But the moment we break it off, it dies. We need to keep it together. It's diverse and it's beautiful, but its life comes from the main from the main trunk. And Jesus said that he is the vine, we are the branches, right? And so we need you to stay connected and be okay with being diverse. You know, one branch of a tree might have 3 pieces of fruit, and over here, this one here might have 18 pieces of fruit, but each one is important. And you know, and just allow that uniqueness to be, and focus on Jesus, focus on life, and allow that life to flow through us, how God has designed us. You know what I mean? And so I'm quite excited to hear some of the stories that Alexander's going to be telling about what God's been doing, and you know, in the prime of life, you know, years from now, in the prime of life, this is what we accomplished.
The best just started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Moses started his ministry when he was 80, didn't he?
Who? Sorry.
Moses.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. 80. Yeah, really.
Right.
And Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Abraham was how many years old? 80 as well?
90. He left home at 75, and
75.
he had his child when he was 100, right? His wife was.
Yeah, I think he was 100. Yeah.
So basically, he started walking with the Lord literally when he was 72. Because God said, I want you to, you know, come to the, you know, go out of your, you know, land and the relatives you have, go out and to the land that I show you. So basically, he followed God at the age of 72.
And and I have a strong conviction and belief that if we are all cooperate with the Lord, it will keep us fresh. If you are,
it does
nothing to do with age, but it keeps us fresh. It keeps us fresh.
Absolutely. God renews our youth daily. That's what the Bible says. He renews our youth daily.
When we say celebrate Frida's 75th birthday with the grandchildren, one of my daughters told me, Dad, you are strong and young. I call you the young, strong guy. Young, strong dad.
Yes.
And so, yes, but we are active, so we are stay active. And that's the medicine. God is so amazing.
In fact, I believe God is reversing the time for you. For all of us, but for you, as I looked at you, that's what I saw. God is reversing the time for you.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Even outwardly, you guys will look younger and younger and younger. And that's, you know, God has made us a sign and a wonder to our world. And that should certainly be a sign, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say? After you retire, you are getting younger.
Right.
I want to see the pictures of the people who are going to line up in front of your door because you have found the fountain of youth.
Right.
Jason, I want whatever you're taking. I want that. The whole Hollywood will line up in front of your doorsteps. Everybody, you know, forget the Botox, forget this, forget that. You know, I want whatever you have because it truly makes you young. Not just skin, you know, but like actual life. That's what people don't have. Botox will not give you life.
No. And
energy.
And you told that.
Actually, it makes your muscles die. Well, for a short time anyway. So actually, Botox is, you know, it just kind of makes you look like a mummy in a way, you know, so frozen in your expressions. But when you have nice expressions and they are expression of joy and love, nobody talks about your wrinkles because it expresses life. And it's pleasant.
Amen.
So that's a very different story. But I really believe that God is going to. Yeah, I keep seeing this. I kept telling Mom, Mom that I want whole Hollywood to line up in front of our doors because they know. I mean, they just don't know what's going on with the Christians, but they are getting younger, and whatever they want, we want it too.
I believe in
that's one of the examples from Jesus, that they take a man down the roof. It was before his house was packed his people, so they use the roof to
Yes.
let the man in. So and that's also that I have many times pictures that they come in the front of our door and they left their back door and they are healed, or well, all the good things that God can do in persons. That's my dream also. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's make this a better place.
Yes.
You can do even greater than that.
Even greater.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jesus said that. I didn't
Yeah.
say that.
Exactly.
Amen. Thank you for encouraging me.
You're welcome. Stand
Oh,
on
I'm encouraging
Stand on
myself
it.
too.
and don't
Because
don't accept anything less than this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
are happy, healthy, and whole and young,
Yeah.
Amen.
full of energy.
Amen.
I know you like to walk already, so it's a very good thing. I know people who are younger than you are, and they don't look good because they don't like to exercise at all. I mean, at all. So there are some parts that I believe we have to do, but God will do the rest.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Anybody, any other last thoughts, last wishes, prayer requests?
Last thought would be, just because as Mark was talking about uniqueness, right? I'm just thinking about if you observe God's creation, God is very big on diversity and uniqueness because every single snowflake is different, right?
Yes.
There's a research shows every single one is different. And if you look at the entire universe, every single planet, the star, they're not the same. But with that vast array of things, he still can make everything different, everything unique, and that everything's beautiful. So I get very excited being myself.
Yes.
Even though I'm still figuring out, but it's exciting, right? To live that.
Every day is a new
made
discovery, and a discovery of ourselves as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, life would be boring if you don't have it figured out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
Still
good to
figuring
have. Every day we learn something new, we develop something new. It's always something. Yeah, it's always new. He renews our youth daily, and he renews he refreshes us daily. So I think that is a whole package.
Yeah.
Every day is new. He makes no days are the same, to me anyway.
Yeah.
Every day is different. It's not because it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, but because he brings new challenges, he brings new ideas, new things, new people, new opportunities to meet people, new opportunities to minister to people, to touch them, to bless them. And therefore no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that people really can lose their strength and their willpower to live and their whole purpose to live is every day is the same, but not to us. So you see what I'm saying? If you reach out to others, if you live to bless others, God will make sure that he will bring the right people into your lives.
That's right.
Whom you have to touch, whom you have to minister, whom you want to encourage. Therefore, no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
So our lives can never be boring.
Yeah.
But for many people it is.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed even for that.
Yeah.
Princess Reka, can I prophesy to Anna?
Yes.
I have a word.
And to me as well. But to Anna, yes.
Well, I saw Anna, and you are very silent and obedient and trustful. And I saw a picture of Cinderella, and she met her prince. And well, she met her prince, there come a new destiny, there come new future in her life. And I saw you are very trustful in all things around you, and he will bring you in a bigger surrounding. So don't be surprised that you come before bigger things than you are have now in your surrounding. And he
Mhm.
loved to bless you, and he loved to bring you to a new level of destiny. So that's what I saw in my spirit.
Mhm.
Absolutely
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
I receive it too.
Yes, do it. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
I don't take it away from you, that's yours. But I want
Yes,
you
of course. Do
and
it.
everybody out there who wants to receive
Yeah.
it, say I receive it.
Amen.
Please do it.
Amen.
Welcome.
It's
I
only
receive it too.
good for you. Amen. Don't miss out on the good
It's
stuff.
beautiful.
Yeah, because just before Alexander spoke, like just now, I was just just asking the Lord, like, what, like, Lord, when? It's very interesting. Just now, I was just asking God, when, what's, when, like what next, what's next? And he just spoke through you now. I was like, wow.
Wow.
Mhm.
So, especially when you said, can I prophesy? Even before you said the name, he told me, like, it's for you, Anna. Listen, just now it happened.
Yeah.
So just wanted to
Beautiful.
So yeah, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Well, that's wonderful.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Anybody else? Any last words? All is well. We send our love to Frida, definitely.
Yes, I do.
We keep her in our prayers, as always.
Please do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much.
thank you. So we can go ahead with our announcements.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Okay, so this month we have the School of the Spirit. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, we have the School of Christ coming up on the 26th of May till the 28th of May. And theme will be the School of Christ and what it is to be taught to be in the School of Christ. So please do not miss it. We will be having the online version as well. And will be taught by Dr. Charles and hosted by Marjorie James. And in July, we have the Power School. It's on July 18th to July 24th. Please, if you can make your way to Rhode Island, please do, because it's one of the most important meetings from us. And we have, of course, Pastor Marjorie James, and our host will be Pastor David. And speakers will be Dr. Charles and and Dr. Pastor Donna. So please do make your way to Rhode Island. And the beautiful thing about Apostles teaching is every teaching is different. So you cannot miss this as well. And for a tithes and offering, thank you so much for always supporting the ministry. We have other options. You can go to PayPal, paypal.me/Charles We have the Cash App, which is $Charles We do have the Venmo option as well, which is at Dr. Charles We had a Zelle. So Chrysler 401-999-4466. We do have the Western Union option as well, and the names of Charles When you use that, send us the code. And we have the mail a check order, Christ Love Media, PO Box 72800, Providence, Rhode Island, 02907. Yeah, thank you so much. Back to you, Prince Reka.
Thank you. This has been another edition of Kingdom Embassy Budapest. Thank you for joining us. See you next Tuesday. God bless you. Love you all. Bye-bye.